All right, Larry Krueger here from the Pig and a Pickle Krug Show with a little 49er video as John Lynch spoke on KMBR this morning. And we give you a full recap of what he said on The Sports Leader. And of course, we're brought to you by Pig and a Pickle, the best barbecue in all of Northern California. Check them out. They're in Emeryville. They're in Corte Madera. They're open 7 days a week from 11 a.m. till 8 p.m. or until they run out. Pig and a Pickle, the best barbecue in all of Northern California. Also, this live stream or this video is sponsored by Better, the official daily fantasy sponsor of the Krug Show. Use Better to make daily fantasy lineups and win real money. Download the app below. Make sure you use the promo code Niners to get your first deposit matched up to $200. Everyone who does is automatically entered to win a free signed Ricky Pearsall jersey, which we will give out in an auction. We will auction off on Super Bowl Sunday, Super Bowl 59. All right, let's talk a little bit about John Lynch. He stopped by today on KMBR with Murph and Marcus for his regular Friday hit. And they start off by saying, hey, John, how's life? And he says, I'm doing all right. You know, we're determined to close the season well in Arizona. And then we're going to try to find solutions. And he's like, the process is already underway. So, you know, they know they've got problems. They know they need to improve. They know they need players. They're well within their process of trying to, you know, look ahead to the draft, and it's a lengthy process, and it's just in mid-flight at this point because you still have the All-Star games, the Combine, the workouts, and a lot of the information between now and draft day. He was asked if he has any New Year's resolutions, and he just said, hey, man, we need to get back to where we belong, which is competing for championships. And I think all 49er fans feel the same way. It's like, yeah, the 49ers are not competing for championships this year. And that's not them. Their job is to compete for championships. And that's John's New Year's resolution. He kind of laughed, but then he said, hey, we need to get back to who we are. You know, he's like, we just didn't get it done. He's like, you know, how do we best improve this team and still figure out a way to stay under the cap? I mean, that's the challenge that lies ahead, and John discussed that this morning with Murph and Marcus. They're going to look hard at free agency. They're going to look hard at the draft. They're going to turn over every stone and try to improve their team as much as they possibly can. He says that him and Kyle are excited about the offseason ahead, that, you know, that they really badly need a reset for this team. I think this team looked mentally, physically, emotionally gassed, so they need a little rest, but they also need a reset. And that reset has to come in the form of personnel. They need new players on both sides of the ball, really. I mean, it's not really, it's as simple as that. John was asked about Brock Purdy's elbow. Let's play this first cut here from John Lynch. Here's Lynch talking about Purdy's elbow.
But first and foremost, did have to ask about your quarterback. I don't know if we ever got the official results of the MRI and why he's sitting out this Sunday.
Yeah, I mean, it's really nothing more than, like, you know, when you hit your funny bone. He did that, and you know, when you get an NFL helmet in the wrong place, it like irritated the nerves a little. But you know, there were about 10 minutes. I get word. I had worked my way down to the locker room, and you know, all I'm hearing is first it's his hand, and then the report comes in, you know, via the guys in security from the sideline. Hey, now it's, you know, his elbow, and I'm going, oh my goodness, you know. But then shortly thereafter, hey, he just got dinged on the elbow, caused some numbness, and so you know, everything's all right. Brock's going to be fine, and just a deal where it's got to quiet down. And
it seems like the decision to not play Brock this weekend was made pretty early this week. Was this a decision made by Kyle, a decision made by you guys as an organization as a whole, or did Brock Purdy have any input about whether or not he'd be playing this weekend?
Everybody has input, but this was a medical decision. You know, the guy said right away, we don't think this be smart. He obviously you know, did something to his elbow where the nerves are irritated, that you then get the MRI, you see some inflammation, and at that point it's an easy decision. So everybody had input, but, you know, really nobody more than the medical who made the ultimate decision, and so that's what that was.
All right, a little bit of John Lynch there saying that Purdy just got dinged and that there was some numbness in the elbow and that it's got to quiet down. He mentioned that Josh Dobbs has looked pretty good every time they put him out there. Brandon Allen, he indicated, will be the number 2 quarterback this week in Arizona. And when Marcus asked him, was it a mutual decision? Was Brock involved? He's like, well, Brock, is always going to be involved in the decision making on his health. But he said it was a medical decision to not play Brock Purdy in Arizona, and then it was an easy decision to not play Brock in Arizona. So it's just simple as that. As far as the Pro Bowl came up, and he was asked about Diamador Lenore, and the Niners had Juice, Kittle, Bosa, and Warner all made the Pro Bowl as starters. They had 4 alternates, including Brock Purdy and Demo Lenore. Demo Lenore was snubbed, though, as a starter. I don't know. I mean, you could sit there and be like, oh, Demo got snubbed. And there's no question he did. But this is, all these guys are great. It's like there's a lot of great players in the Pro Bowl. Who knows? Should he have been in there instead of one of the other corners? Possibly. But, I mean, Patrick Mahomes led Kansas City to a 15-1 record and is on the verge of winning his 3rd consecutive title and is far and away the best quarterback in all of pro football, and he didn't make the Pro Bowl. So sorry if I don't get a little exercise that Demo Lenore didn't make the Pro Bowl. If Patrick Mahomes didn't make the Pro Bowl, then you know what? He, to me, has the biggest arguments of anybody for not making the Pro Bowl because he's the best quarterback in the game. And he's not going to make the Pro Bowl. He's not he's not one of the 3 best quarterbacks in the AFC. I mean, that's come on. And then Fred Warner. Fred Warner. We talked a little bit about Fred Warner and how Fred Warner's out there playing with a fractured ankle, and he's like, "Hey, man, Fred's going to be Fred. Fred's going to do what he's going to do. That's why they love Fred. He's out there playing hurt." Then he was asked about his reaction. They caught him on TV pounding his fist, and he mentioned how Derek Brooks, his former teammate, texted him and said, "Hey, man, take a deep breath, brother. Breathe." And then John talked about his alter ego, 47 Red, and then he said, "Hey, man, I care." It's as simple as that. Here's John Lynch talking a little bit about the reaction to that. TV caught his reaction, his angry reaction last Sunday.
Hurt. By the way, you're just telling that story about Eddie George and all that. It made me think about you as a player, and it made me think about your reaction in the box the other night on Sunday night, or Monday night, I should say, against the Lions. Now, 2 questions. One, is that reaction in the box that the cameras caught the kind of thing that Eddie George felt? And number 2, do you not like it when the cameras show you?
Well, I understand from being in the TV world that I'm responsible for my actions. So if you don't like, it's kind of like you don't like people celebrating. Well, don't let them score. If you don't like them showing you, don't act like a fool. But I don't know. Some people, Mike Tomlin used to call that guy 47 Red, my alter ego, and I try my best. I try to sit up there and be poised, but I care, and I know what these guys go through to get ready for each and every game. I know they pour their heart and soul, and when I see us not play up to our abilities, or just sometimes stuff just happens in a game, and you have that type of reaction. Now, I don't know if ESPN needed to. I mean, it wasn't like they caught me live. They brought that back out of the commercial, but thank God for Troy Aikman, my buddy who had my back. It seemed like my old teammate actually texted me. It was Derek Brooks, and he's like, "Hey, brother, take a deep breath." And I said, what are you talking about? Because sometimes Sapp and Brooks and Rondé Barber, all these guys will text me during the game. They live and die with our team as well. And Brooks just take some deep breaths. I said, why? He goes, they caught you, pounding your fist on the table. He goes, I love it, but just be careful. And then shortly thereafter, he said, hey, our guy Aikman had your back, so you're all right. He goes, I kind of like it. So, it's just, I don't know. I have tried to change it. You try to change it, but you can't take the fight out of and I don't, frankly, I don't care to. So as long as I want to have those type of emotions, or I should be doing something else. Now, can I handle them? Can I be, you can live by that never let them see you sweat type thing. I wasn't sweating. That was just being there with our guys. And so that's what that was. I know it became a meme, and what the hell.
All right, a little bit of John Lynch there with his reaction to some of the stressful moments on Monday night. He was also asked about Jawan Jennings and his block, where Jennings blocked Brian Branch out of the back of the end zone and basically into the stands, almost like the movie Blindside. And of course, John's like, I loved it. It's like, of course he did, JJ's a super aggressive, tough football player. He blocked Branch into the stands. And it shows the incredible fire of Jawan Jennings. And of course, John Lynch loved it. And then he was asked about Malik Mustapha. And Mustapha is coming on, man. Mustapha looked fantastic in this one play. Now, it was a misdirection play, and Gibbs was headed towards the Detroit sideline, and Mustapha was literally on the other side of the field, and he just dead sprinted across the field. One, he showed unbelievable speed. I mean, that's probably the fastest I've seen a 49er run on the field, regardless of position, all season long. And then he made the play. I mean, he went an incredible distance to make the play in week 17 when the Niners are already out of it. It just shows how that kid's wired. They got something there, man. And Malik Mustapha and Lynch addressed it today on CanBR.
We just played before you came on. Amon-Ra St. Brown and his brother Equanimous have a podcast, and they had Debo on. And Amon-Ra went out of his way to say, man, who's number 6? And he went on about how the hits. He said hardest hitting safety he faced all year. Said he blew up Jahmyr Gibbs' face. When you hear that from opponents about Mustapha and what you see and know about Mustapha, what's your reaction?
Yeah, I had not heard that. It doesn't surprise me though, because I see it and I feel it. I think everybody in the stadium does. One of my favorite plays from that game on one of the last series, Jahmyr Gibbs can flat out run. I mean, he's a special talent. And there was a play where he ran to his left, was contained, looked like it was going to be a lost yardage. And all of a sudden, he reversed field and got the edge on the other side. And out of nowhere came Malik Mustapha. And, that to me tells you we got something special. Because first of all, you got to have the ability, the speed to run with a guy like Jahmyr Gibbs. But really, that's heart, that's soul, that's like what's deep down in a kid. And that was him saying, nah, you're not getting out the door here. And so I think we've got the makings. He still can fine-tune his game. There's so much more in there. But, man, we really have something, the beginnings of something special in Malik. And the good thing is, the great thing is he's committed. He's a guy that probably in that rookie class has a routine that mimics the Fred Warners, and the great thing is he's watching those guys all the time. So Malik's gonna have an opportunity to have a really nice career here, and he's off to a great start. But I see the same stuff you guys see, and that Amon-Ra sees, and I haven't felt it, but I feel like I feel it because I know what that looks like. I know what it sounds like. When it sounds different, you got something, and that's what Malik has.
So there you go, a little bit of John Lynch talking about Malik Mustapha, and then, he finished up talking about Nick Bosa and how Bosa played an incredible game, and there's no question Bosa was playing with his hair on fire in that game against the Lions. So there you have it, a full breakdown of John Lynch on his Friday hit on CanBR with Brian Murphy and Marcus Boucher. Lynch stops by every Friday in that spot, and very interesting conversation to say the least. Thanks to Pig and a Pickle for being the title sponsor of The Krug Show. Thanks to Better for sponsoring this video. Thanks to all of you guys for supporting The Krug Show on YouTube.